Welcome back to the College Basketball Show with your host, Alec Pecano, on Sunday, March 2nd. Yes, it is officially March Madness season. On today's show, we're going to go over two conference tournament brackets, and I will give you the winners of the ASUN tournament and the Sun Belt tournament, as well as previewing other games going on tomorrow through Friday, and other news going on and other stuff going on in college basketball. Let's get started with the ASUN tournament bracket. And I have it right here in front of me. The first round starts tonight. The 9-10 game is Central Arkansas and Stetson. I am ultra confident that Stetson is going to win today against Central Arkansas. And all of these games are on ESPN Plus. All the ASUN tournament games are on ESPN Plus, besides the championship game, which is on ESPN 2. I think Stetson beats Central Arkansas. People say that Stetson is less of a worse team than Central Arkansas. I see it the other way. These are two equal teams that on any given day could win this tournament, but I don't think either of them has an opportunity to make a far run, because in the second round, the winner has to play Lipscomb. And I will get to those second round games in a minute after we go over the other first round game in the ASUN. And that is Austin Peay, the 7th seed, and the 8th seed, North Florida. Now, I want you to hear me out here. North Florida, a very young team. They have a couple upperclassmen, and Nate Litteris and Josiah Miles. But they also have one of the best coaches in the Atlantic Sun Conference, and Matthew Driscoll. And if I've learned anything, and this is also where I went to school, so I know the basketball program at University of North Florida very well. Matthew Driscoll will have his team ready for this game, and I believe UNF will beat Austin Peay. So that sets up the second round matchups here. The first one is the 1 seed Lipscomb and the 9 seed Stetson. And I have Lipscomb beating Stetson. I do think these ASUN games, defense is optional. So all of these ASUN games, tournament games, will be high scoring. We know that. Do we know what the final score is going to be? No, because there's also the chance that now that it's March and these teams are playing a do or die game in a conference tournament, that we could absolutely see a lower scoring game. Defense would apply in this situation, but I could also see, like I said, high scoring. Anyway, I do see Lipscomb beating Stetson. I don't think Stetson has the wherewithal to guard all the guards from Lipscomb. And Lipscomb was the co-regular season champs in the ASUN, along with North Alabama, who I will get to in a second. Second, the 4-5 matchup is Jacksonville and Eastern Kentucky. Now, originally, I had JU getting knocked out here, but JU's had a really good season, and I just can't see JU, Jacksonville University, losing to Eastern Kentucky. So give me the Dolphins, the Jacksonville Dolphins, to beat Eastern Kentucky and move on to the semifinals. So that sets up one semifinal, which will be Lipscomb and Jacksonville University. And we're about to set up the other semifinal. You've got the 2 seed North Alabama Lions and the 8 seed North Florida Ospreys. This, I believe North Florida, if they play like they played the first 2 games of the season against South Carolina and Georgia Tech, where they upset both those teams, I believe that North Florida can make a deep run in the Atlantic Sun tournament. And I believe if they play really good, if they play really well here against North Alabama, I believe they could beat North Alabama and move on to the semifinals and take on the winner of the 3-6 matchup between Queens and Florida Gulf Coast. And I've seen people out there that have Queens winning this. There's no way, absolutely zero chance Queens beats FGCU. Now, I'm going to say this. I did this, all these conference tournament predictions last year, and the ASUN, there's a couple I got wrong, and one of them was the ASUN. So therefore, I think that the ASUN, I think it's going to be FGCU here. So then you would reseed. It'd be the 1 seed Lipscomb, 3 seed Jacksonville, because the ASUN does it different than everybody else. They reseed every round. So, like, North Florida would still be, they would go to the 7. They would become the 7 seed against North Alabama. So that's 2-7. 1-8 would be Stetson. Then you get down to the Final 4, which is the 1 seed Lipscomb versus the 3 seed Jacksonville. And I am going to go with Jacksonville to lose this game to Lipscomb. I think Lipscomb moves on to the ASUN tournament final, and they will take on the winner of North Florida and Florida Gulf Coast, the 2 against the 4. And UNF, they played FGCU close for the first half, the first time these 2 teams met in Jacksonville. When they met in Alico Arena in Fort Myers, FGCU blew UNF out of the building. But the first meeting of the season, UNF, they would have beaten FGCU if it wasn't for turnovers. That is the only reason they lost that first matchup. They could have split their meetings in a regular season if UNF doesn't have the issues with turnovers that they had. With that being said, I believe the 4 seed here in North Florida would win and beat FGCU. So then you reseed. It's 1 versus 2 in the final, which the 2 seed is North Florida. The 1 seed is Lipscomb. And give me Lipscomb to lose to North Florida, and North Florida wins the Atlantic Sun tournament. The next conference tournament I will be previewing and giving you my prediction for is the Sun Belt. And the Sun Belt tournament, it's a weird tournament if you look at how the bracket is laid out. You got 2 games, 2 play-in games. And the first one is Coastal Carolina and Southern Miss. So that's the 13-14 game, right? The 12-13 game. And I have the 13th seed Coastal Carolina winning. And then the other one is the 11-12, 10-11. The 11-14 game between Old Dominion and Louisiana. Monroe. I have Old Dominion winning that. So then it's Coastal Carolina and Georgia Southern. And I have Georgia Southern, the 9 seed, beating the 13th seed Coastal Carolina. And here's why I think that's going to happen. Coastal Carolina, to get all the way to the championship game, they'd have to win 7 games. And I don't think you can do that in a matter of 8 days. So that's why I am taking Georgia Southern. And then you've got Louisiana and Old Dominion. Give me Louisiana, the 10 seed. Yes, the 10. So that sets up a 7-10 matchup between Louisiana and Texas State. And I believe here that Louisiana is actually going to pull the upset in this conference, in this round of the Sun Belt tournament against Texas State. So give me the 10 seed Louisiana to beat the 7 seed Texas State. Then in the top, you've got Georgia Southern, the 9 seed, and you've got Georgia State, the 8th seed. And 8-9 game between Georgia State and Georgia Southern. I have a correction, Marshall. I have the 5 seed Marshall moving on to play Arkansas State, who is the 4. So the 4-5 game, Marshall and Arkansas State. I'm taking Marshall to beat Arkansas State and move on to the Sun Belt Championship game. Then you've got App State, who is the 6th seed, against the 3 seed Troy. And give me the 3 seed Troy to move on and play the 2 seed James Madison for a spot in the Sun Belt Conference Championship game. And I'm going to take the 2 seed James Madison to move on to the Sun Belt Championship game and play the 5 seed in Marshall. And give me the 2 seed James Madison to win the Sun Belt Conference Tournament. So the first 2 conference tournament champions I have, ASUN, North Florida, Sun Belt, James Madison. If you want to see, I didn't do every conference tournament this year. I'm doing the ASUN, the Sun Belt, Big 10, Big 12, ACC, SEC. So 6, I'm predicting 6 conference tournaments this year. If you want to see the rest of the conference tournaments, go over to my Twitter, which is linked in the bio of my YouTube, to see what other conference tournaments I have picked the winners for. But now we're going to preview some of the games coming up this week. So Monday, you got Duke and Wake Forest. Big game for Wake. This is going to determine their seeding in the ACC tournament. Which the ACC, so I'm doing 7 conference tournaments, correction. The ACC is the other conference tournament I'm also doing. We know Duke's going to be a top 3 seed in the ACC tournament. Now you got North Alabama versus the winner of that first game, which we've already said. If you want to see that, go back. Same with Queens and same with all the ASUN. Then you got Southern and in Florida A&M. I think this is going to be a good game tonight. You got a lot of good games on tonight, and a lot of mid-major college basketball on tonight, including McNeese. And then you've got Norfolk State and North Carolina Central. That's going to be a good game too. Delaware State and Morgan State is also going to be a decently good game tonight. So those are all the games for tonight that I'm I apologize for the little voice crack that are on tonight that are interesting. We get to Tuesday. Oklahoma State UCF. As you see, that's ESPN Plus. And this is a critical game for both UCF and Oklahoma State, because Johnny Dawkins could be on the hot seat here. And he could get fired if he keeps losing and UCF ends up losing in the Big 12 tournament. Georgia Southern's another one. Who are they going to end up playing? I told you earlier who I think they're going to play. Maryland and Michigan. Another decently good game. And I just top 25 game at that in the Chrysler Center in Ann Arbor. A critical game for both teams in the Big Ten, as they are both having a really good season, and this is going to determine where they get put in the conference tournament, what their seeding is. DePaul and Providence. Big East games are always good. Then you got the rematch in Gainesville and Tuscaloosa at Coleman Coliseum between Alabama and Florida. That's going to be a good game. I will tell you, I think there's an upset going to happen on Tuesday night. Look at Clemson and Boston College. Boston College is 12-17 on the year, 4-14 in the ACC. I think that Clemson is on upset alert. We don't know the spread yet, but I think that Boston College could pull this off. Then you've got UT Martin and Tennessee Tech. Another good game. And again, on Tuesday, there's a lot of good games. And there's some other conference tournaments going on too this week. That was Wednesday. We go to Thursday now. So you see the ASUN, their semifinals are Thursday. The NVC tournament first round starts Thursday. Like I said, there's a lot of conference tournaments that start this next week, including the Summit League, which I'm going to make a prediction right now. I think Omaha is going to win the Summit League. And Bucknell is probably going to win the Patriot League. And then last but not least, Friday. You got the Big South tournament quarterfinals. And you've got High Point. You don't know who they're going to play yet. That is one of the conference tournaments I put over on my Twitter. And I think High Point's going to win the Big South. got a CAA first round game between Delaware and Stonebrook. I think Delaware wins that. And then I do think there's a couple coaches that might get canned. We've already seen Jim Larinaga step down at Miami. I think Micah Shrewsbury at Penn State might be the next one to get fired. And I think Hubert Davis at North Carolina might also get fired. But that'll wrap up today's episode of the College Basketball Show. I will be back tomorrow morning with another episode of the permanently renamed Baseball Banter Podcast. And we'll be kicking that podcast into high gear as we are just 29, just under 3 weeks away from opening day. I will see everybody. And also, we do offer memberships for you college football fans. They are cheap. It's not expensive. And for college football season, when it comes around in August, we have a new thing we are debuting. It's called the MVP chart, where you get all your picks, and you will also get your regular picks, non-MVP style. But it's something I'm trying out this year to see what people like. And if you haven't heard yet, we've been talking about it a lot. 2026, me and my co-host of the College Football Podcast, Bradley, will be going to Ann Arbor, Michigan for the Michigan-Oklahoma game. If you know anybody that works in the athletic department at the University of Michigan or any football players, don't hesitate to DM me their either Instagram or Snapchat or anything on here in the comments or on any of my social medias, which are linked in the bio of this YouTube channel. But I am signing off. I will see everybody on Monday. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday.